What's up? It's your boy Black, exactly my point, the podcast. You know, I'm kicking it with the homie this time, Kyle Hollins, man. This about to be a real good one, man. This one, we about to get into this brother and what he got going on in the Kansas City metropolitan area. It's a real dope story. So, you know, I stay in the kitchen cooking it up. So I brought my dog in the kitchen with me, you know what I'm saying? And we gonna get into some of his favorite dishes, you feel me? And see what he talking about, you dig what I'm saying? So my dog, I appreciate you having me.
Oh, man,
what's good?
You coming, man.
No doubt,
That's
man.
it right there.
You know what I'm saying? No doubt, man. No doubt, man. So how you been feeling after the Chiefs lost, bro?
I feel disrespected.
Man, we should be on a mission next year.
I feel disrespected.
We should definitely be on a mission next year. So, you know what I'm saying? I personally think right now we need to go get J.J. Watt just for 1 year.
Just for one?
Yeah, get him next to Chris Jones. You're not running on us. And then we can keep D. Clark and the rest of them little defensive ends because up front we'll be good. We definitely need to draft some linebackers and some O-line.
And some O-line.
You know what I'm saying?
But see, the thing, man, we didn't get beat because of insufficient players. You know what I'm saying? Like,
True.
we got beat. Like, I don't know if it was mentally. I don't know if it was the offensive coaching. You know what I'm saying?
We walked in kind of cocky. You know what I'm saying?
It was rough, man.
Other than that, man, you know, you came and kicked it with me on episode 5. We did the 2020 recap, man, and
oh yeah, that was live though, man.
It was, man. I really enjoyed your story, bruh. You know what I'm saying? We got to chop it up a lot off camera, man. I really enjoyed your story. You had some dope things going on, man. So when you reached out to me and you told me what you were doing and how you were trying to do it, and you wanted me, you know what I'm saying, to use my platform, my guy, I felt real humble. You know, a lot of people don't understand, you know, we're really only, you know, this is my 7th episode. You know what I'm saying?
Really? Okay.
This is my 7th episode, you know, with my team.
Bro.
You know, and I appreciate that. So the fact that you wanted to team up with me and allow me to use my platform, you know, allow my team to come in and really make this a production for you, you know, like, man, we're humble, we're grateful, you know what I'm saying? And anything we can do to help uplift you and your movement, my G, you know, that's what we're about. So again, man, I appreciate you, you know, reaching out to us, you know what I'm saying? I hope, you know what I'm saying, that somebody's able to take something away from you. I definitely was, you know what I'm saying? So like, one thing that stuck out with me, you know what I mean, when we spoke the last time, you talked about how when God told Noah to build the boat, he didn't tell him why he was building the boat.
Mm-hmm.
He just told him to build it. And it's kind of like to your story, you feel me? So let's just get into who Kyle Hollins is, man. So who is Kyle Hollins, man? Tell your listeners, man, tell our audience, man, who is Kyle Hollins, man? Like, now you already know, before we get started, bro, you know we keep it 100 on here.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So don't sugarcoat nothing. Tell your story.
I'm going to leave some names out.
Definitely. We're not trying to open no cases. We're not trying to open no cases.
We're nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But nah, man, you know, my story, even though in some cultures my story is kind of taboo or unknown, but to the inner city and environments that I associate with, bro, my story is common. I grew up in the 64130 area code in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but that was, you know, we ran the murder rate in 2000. I want to say 3 and 4 and stuff like that. But it was the 64130 area code that kind of led that, you know. And when you're in it, you don't really think that there's nothing really going on. Like, oh, such and such died or such and such died. But like, I was so caught up in that mentality and that thought process, bro, that it just seemed like everyday life. So just the ability to transition from that into where I'm at now, man, I'm super blessed. Hence where that idea of, you know, that Noah story came from. Right. And that wasn't just for me, just, you know, in my morning studies or nothing like that. Noah had to build something that he ain't never seen before. You know what I mean? Noah had to build something that everybody told him was dumb and stupid and they didn't even see rain, you know, before, and Noah up here saying rain coming, you know what I mean? Talking about a problem that people don't see. And that's the hardest thing, something that I kind of went through, you know, in my development stage, was trying to explain the importance of why we need to start looking at ourselves and start looking at everybody else.
All right, so when you say looking at yourself, like, so let's tap back into your childhood, bro. Mm-hmm. Let's tap back into that. So, like, you say we ran the murder rate. And so, like, describe, like, a day in the life at that time for you. So to give people a visual of who you are, right? Because we want people to tap into your movement. Right. But in order for people to tap into your movement, you have to tell your story. So, again, my platform, we gonna always be transparent. So I want you to paint that picture for people so they can understand the guy that you were then and the young man that you are now, what your movement does to help in that transition.
Right.
So in order for them to do that, my guy, you have to really paint this vivid illustration for them of when you were out there and describe to them a day in the life in that time.
So I grew up in the 50s on 57th in Michigan, and you know, my mom, I grew up with a single mom. My dad was there, but I seen him on the weekends and stuff like that. And, you know, my mom was studying to be a psychologist, you know, working at Ford, having my uncle watch us. My older sister was the one woman of the house for a lot of the time, you know what I mean? And she definitely tries to own that every single day. But yeah, man, it was a close-knit little family, man. The block knew everybody. My aunt stayed down the street. When I grew up, my whole family was together, right? I come from that culture where they was partying in the front and all the kids was in the back. You know what I mean? Don't bring yourself into the front room. Right. You know what I mean? Type thing. The weed smell, the alcohol, and all of that. The normal. It wasn't nothing unusual about, you know, how I grew up to the inner city. But all of a sudden, man, at one point, like, my family separated. My sense of belonging and community and all of that, it just started collapsing, you know, and I started looking for that. So, you know, I'm transitioning from, you know, little boy into teenager.
Right. And at one of the most pivotal times when a boy needs his father, when he needs his family, he needs that structure. Right.
Identity. And that's what and that's what I was really struggling with, what was my identity. I was struggling with what does my family look like? What do I look like as a black man? Who am I as a black man? Where am I going as a black man? And at that time, I'm not knowing that that's the conflict that I'm having inside myself. But as I look back, then I know that's exactly what it was. So what ended up happening was I got hit by a car when I was younger. I broke my leg in 3 places. It was so funny. I got hit by a car by a dude with 1 leg. You know what I'm saying? He was driving with a stick. Broke my leg in 3 places, man. And I was in the 3rd grade, and that was when I finally got shipped off to go live with my dad. And that's when the understanding of, you know, who I was and where I was going to be kind of started at. But my dad was extremely abusive. Extremely abusive. I remember learning how to read. My dad had me up in the air one time. He was just so frustrated. He was a security guard at Jackson County Jail. He'd been there for 25 plus years. I'm talking about being ran through all the ranks, sergeant, all of that type of stuff, right? So, and it's crazy to hear my story as we keep going on. My daddy was a sergeant at the Jackson County Jail. My mom was a drug counselor. You know what I'm saying? And I was convicted of conspiracy to distribute crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? Right. So,
so like, how did you get involved in that? Like, it seems like for the most part you had a decent family environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like you said, it started to switch. So then like.
It wasn't that it was decent, bro. It wasn't that it was. It was decent to the culture that we grew up in. It wasn't. It wasn't the idea. See, I thought everybody else in the hood thought that we were privileged. They thought that my family was super privileged.
Because you had mom and dad.
Because I had not, but they wasn't living together. They separated, but my mom was going to college. Like my mom was the one. I never went to an inner city school. I've never been to an inner city school. I grew up in the hood, but I never went to an inner city school. My mom made sure I went to school. Like when my elementary, I went to Sweeney Elementary in the Plaza. You know what I mean? Okay. So I hated it. I hated it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was looked at as an outcast. Like, y'all privileged, or y'all the uppity black family, or you know what I mean? They used to call me white boy Kyle because I used to speak real, you know, because I just never went to inner city schools. You know what I'm saying?
I had that same problem with when you're well versed.
Yeah.
You speak. Like, that's the first thing people think. Oh man, you talk like a white boy, but it's like, what do you mean I talk like a white boy? Like,
man, that's a conversation.
Right. That's a different conversation. That's a whole different conversation. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you getting locked up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but it's a lot that led up to even getting locked
up. So
bro.
what led up to that? You know what I'm saying? So like you said, like,
I didn't get locked up until I was 25. Right. So I actually. All of that's going on. I was kind of telling a story to get to the point to where I left with my dad, and my dad was extremely abusive. So, like, imagine the person that you look to protect you and feel safe with is the one that is doing the most harm to you, right? In my thought process. And then I run to my mom, and I tell my mom, I'm like, yo, like, this is what's going on over here. She like, boy, shut up. You got a daddy. You better be glad you got a daddy. You know what I mean? So, like, I felt isolated and alone. So, time goes on, man. I ended up getting kicked out the house, and I'm homeless. I'm homeless for about a month. I'm probably about 15 years old on my first rip of being homeless. And I ain't talking like homeless. Like, a lot of people say homeless and they be like, I'm going to my cousin's house homeless. Like, nah, I'm talking about, like, bro, I was sleeping in Vacos homeless. I was catching the bus to school from 57th, going to school in Raytown homeless. Like sleeping in old houses that didn't have no heat homeless. You know what I mean? Like,
he was really out here in the street.
Bro, listen. I remember vividly a time when, so what I would do was, I would go to parties, I would kick it as late as I could. Right. I'm 15, 16 years old, hanging out with people that are staying up to 2, 3 in the morning. But the thing is, at 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody going home. So now at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the dead of January, I'm out on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out where I'm about to lay my head at. I can't sleep on couches no more. I done ran out welcomes, you know what I'm saying? So now at 16 years old, now, like, I'm trying to decide what I'm about to do. So I go to my mom's house and I knock on the door. And she's on the other side of the door and she's crying. Right? Boo-hooing, like snot. I can hear, like, I know my mama. This is one of them snot coming out your nose moments, right? And she's on the other side of the door, and she's like, Kyle, I can't let you in, because if I let you in, then you're just gonna keep doing whatever it is that you was doing. Like, Kyle, there's nothing I can do. And in that moment, I shifted into a thought process. Like, I felt abandoned. Like, I felt completely alone. I couldn't go to my father. I couldn't go to my mom. My sister was out of town. Like, I had nobody, right? So I leave there and go 3 houses down to my homeboy house, and his brother had a Chevy Caprice, 4-door box Chevy, and bro, I balled up in my cohort, put my knees to my chest, pulled in my orange, bro, and slept through the night. Talking about it snowing and all of that. That was the worst night of my life. To where, bro, I struggle with the fear of being homeless, and that's the thought that comes to my mind. Like, the way my bones would like ache, like they would ache, you know what I'm saying? So much so that, bro, it took me over like 10 years. So I remember, I'm fast forwarding, but I was in prison and a dude came to my cell and he was like, bro, like, you sleep in the fetal position. It is not because of, like, I'm scared or nothing like that. It's because I've been homeless for so long that that's how I stay warm, and it was just natural to me to be curled up like that. So, you know, I just had that complex. So I left at 15. I left at 15, but I was completely homeless by 16, transitioning into 17. Like, completely. I graduated from high school homeless. Damn. Like, I graduated, and this is word is bond. And, like, I graduated from Central High School. I left graduation and went right back to the block. Right back to the block. My mom, they took pictures. We laughed. We joked. I got a ride back to the 50s, and I was back on the block right after graduation. No lie.
So how long did you spend, like, on the block? Because you said, so you graduated at 18. You said you got locked up at 25. So in that 7-year window, like, what was going on there?
Man, I got shot at 18. I got shot in the chest, collapsed lungs at 18. About 19, 20, 21, around that age, I was stabbed twice in the back. Gang life, you know, like I said, I was from 57th Street. I transitioned from 57th Street down to 27th and Prospect. I had a team down there, ran dope houses down there. That's where I caught my case. I was convicted of conspiracy to distribute crack cocaine.
27th and Prospect is right over there by like Old Fish City. It's a church right over there.
Yes. Well, they knocked it down and put a crime lab there. So that's how I got convicted. So what happened was, they wanted me to tear down the block. So they convicted me of a one-man conspiracy. Conspiracy takes 3 people, right? They convicted me of a one-person conspiracy. And what my lawyer told me was that if I didn't bring it in, if I didn't bring the dope into the country, and I didn't smoke the dope, that constitutes 3 people. The person that brought it in, me, and then the other person. So the conspiracy statute say is known or unknown people. You know what I mean? So then what they did was they tried to max me out, and they gave me 2 counts of felony possession of a firearm with furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. So it's a violent offense. So if you catch 2 of them, it's mandatory 25 plus the mandatory 10 that I was facing. So I was facing 35 years on my first rodeo, right? Yeah, no, that was in the feds. So before I even went to the feds, I went to the state. I had a class A, B trafficking. I had an A/B trafficking, I had a D trafficking, and I had a C tampering. But I got the latter taken off, and I just played out to the A and the B trafficking since the 10 years with a 4-month drug treatment. And that's kind of where the shift it kind of went to trying to like figure out what I was gonna do in my life. But before,
so, like that's kind of crazy, like how like God will shake everything up to get your attention.
You know what my mom told me though?
What?
Just to coincide on what you said, and this has been sticking with me all my life. She said, Kyle, the day that you want to stop hustling, the day that you're done, is when everything's gonna catch up with you. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly how it happened.
Yeah, like I mean, he'll shake it up.
He'll shake it.
Like he has to break it. He has to break us down and get our attention.
Right.
And unfortunately, like she said, what she was saying is like, you know, when you get ready to make that switch, that's when everything's gonna start coming down. It's gonna get your attention. You'll start seeing the severity of what you were doing and how it was impacting your life, and not just your life, but everybody else. So I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying, you're in this dark situation. Now let me correct myself, and the reason why I say that for anybody that sees this. Earlier today, I was on a live, and my sister was saying that she was in her dark place, and I corrected her because I said, we always put a negative connotation to the dark. Right? Mm-hmm. Think about it. When a child is born, it spends 9 months in a womb. That's completely dark. It doesn't cry until it sees the light. Mm-hmm. Right? Flowers blossom when? At the dark of night. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. The darker the flesh, the deeper the root. So we always put a negative connotation to the darkness. But what I'm starting to learn is that when it's starting to get darker around you, God is taking everything away that was a distraction. He's geared to propel you into something different.
That's it.
So for you, I guess that's what it was. Because now, I remember watching your story on your website. You told me you were a rapper. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Now you went to the spoken word. So did you really tap into your gift with words? You know what I'm saying? Once you got locked up?
No, I was doing that before. I ran a promotion company called On Point Entertainment. When I was hustling.
So, bro, you hustling and you running an entertainment business?
Yeah, to a degree. So now that I run a corporation now, I realize I had a hobby back then. And so my biggest failure, and I'm saying this to all entrepreneurs out there, please listen to what I'm about to tell you right now. If your business is not generating its own income, if it's not self-sustaining, it is not a business, it is a hobby. If you continue to put your own money into it, it is a hobby. Believe what I'm saying. And this is how I figured that out. So what I would do is I would hustle. I built the label, right? Me and YG, that was the artist that was on the label. We put it all together, put the CDs out, we would do shows, we buy the jewelry, all of that, right? Mm-hmm. But then we'll do the shows, get the money, and go buy Kush, and go buy diamonds, and go buy whatever it is that we were doing, you know what I'm saying? And then reinvest some more money back into it. Right. And the business didn't grow itself, you know what I mean? So basically, I was just having fun. I was just doing it for the shows and the thrills. And a lot of times, we're not looking at running our business, especially like promoters and rappers. They're not looking at it like that. They really, the concept is, there's two ways to come up in the rap game in Kansas City. One, either you're the backpack kid and everybody watch you come from nothing to the top, or you already at the top. Mm. So a lot of rappers come in as if they're already at the top, but they have to live that persona, right? But they're not maximizing the persona. They're not buying the charger, right, as a front, as a prop. They're buying it and hustling in it. They're buying it like, they're messing up the you know what I mean? Because if you look at it from a business or an investment standpoint, if this is your investment, is your pride, you wouldn't even drive it every day. Right. It's your pride. You know what I'm saying? Like if I didn't have no more money and I had to go buy a $300 pair of Jordans, right? Would I wear those Jordans every day if they're a prop? No. Right. But what they do is they'll wear them every day, right? Go kill them, run them down, and go buy another pair of Jordans. Right. So the mathematics is bad.
So, you know what I'm saying, you got into what happened at 18, 19, what goes on in
I started
20s.
With the rapping?
No, not even that. You know what I'm saying? And we'll get into that because that taps into your movement. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I'm saying, now you locked up, you know what I'm saying, you in that spot where now things are starting to make sense, you know what I'm saying? Like you geared to find. So like, how did you honestly find your purpose? You know what I'm saying? Like was it when everything fell down and like now you behind bars and you ain't got nothing else to think about who you are and what you're gonna do? Like, so how did you really tap into your purpose?
I found out that my thinking was trash. That's what happened. I had a probation officer, and I sat in front of him. I got caught in a rental car with an AK, and I go to my probation officer. I was on the SIS, so it's like in between felony and not, right? If you walk out your SIS, you don't catch the felony. So I don't have a felony. I get caught with the AK. They let me go because it's not a felony yet, right? So I sit in front of my PO, and he asks me, he's like, "Oh, why you got this assault rifle in the back of your car?" And I'm telling him, I'm like, well, I was going to the after hours, you know what I mean? Me and my homie, we wanted to feel safe. It was the God honest truth. Like, I literally got caught 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, leaving a woman's house, you know what I'm saying? And got caught coming down Blue Ridge. So I tell him, I got caught in the car with an AK, and we were trying to protect ourselves. And he asked me this real question. He says, Kyle, so let me make this make sense. You went to a place knowing that you could possibly be killed to have fun, right? And in my mind, it was like, duh. It's like, I'm 21, 22 years old at the time. I'm like, duh, this is life. This is how it is. Like, what you mean? Right. He's like, Kyle, would you walk into a bank knowingly being robbed? Would you walk right into it? I'm like, nah, that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. He sits back across from the desk, crosses his hand, and just looks at me. I'm like, man, whatever, man. You don't understand, man. Everybody in Kansas City got a gun. He says, Kyle, does your mom carry a gun? I'm like, nah, she don't live my life. He sits back across the table and just looks at me. So as transition goes on, I go down. I'm on the run now. Now the time that went on. Now I'm on the run. I shoot down to Atlanta with my mom. Want to see my family and all that type of stuff. So we all drinking, having fun. 1800. That's what I can remember it like it was yesterday. We all drinking 1800, and in the midst of it, my mom just asks me this question. She's like, "So Kyle, what you gonna do when what you gonna do about Lyric, my daughter, when you go to jail?" And I'm like, well, I got some money put up for her. You know what I'm saying? She's like, nah. What you gonna do when your girlfriend's boyfriend is tired of messing with her and goes in your daughter's room? And in my mind, I'm like, man, I'll kill this and I'll kill that, right? And she's like, so how you gonna do that from jail? I'm like, I'm livid. I don't want to hear none of that. You know what I mean? At 22, 23 years old, I'm just going off. And I'm like, and she's like, oh, there ain't nothing you could do. You failed her. You know what I mean? And it was like,
it was at that moment.
It was that, hell no, I gotta keep going. Listen, I got arrested, and my PSI came back, and I had 196 police contact in a year, working on 27 Prospect. I was a D-boy on the corner, 196. So as it progressed, and I was going through sentencing and stuff like that, I felt like I was doing a good job. I only been stopped by the police and went to jail maybe 3 or 4 times. You know what I'm saying? In this 6-7 months period. And my lawyer sat across that desk and said, Kyle, I ain't been to jail or police contact in 23 years. And it just blew my mind. Like, it just blew the whole process of how I was thinking. I just realized, like, Kyle, like, you're tripping. So, being partly educated from growing up with my mom, being a psychologist and, like, doing Hooked on Phonics when I knew how to read all summer, like, they was just big on education. So, they saw something in me. And they sent me to this cognitive behavior therapy program. I was offered 10 years in the state. They were like, well, since there's no drug remand in the state, what we'll do is we'll send you to this 4-month program. You do the 4-month program well, we'll let you back out, and you'll just be on parole. And if you jack up, then you'll go back to start on your 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I do the behavior mind, and I'm sitting in the classroom, man, and the lady, she said something that devastated me to my core, man. She asked me one of the serious questions. She says, what's worse, a drug dealer or a pedophile? I'm like, fucking pedophile. Like, what do you mean? It ain't even a question. A pedophile, of course. You know what he do to these little kids? He says, well, the lady, she said something to me. She was like, how many victims does a pedophile have? Hypothetically. I'm like, let's say 3, right? She's like, how many victims does a drug dealer have? And it just, it threw me, you know what I'm saying? Because I just never thought about it. I never looked at it like that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's when the shift happened. That when I took that first behavior modification class, it shifted me because, like, I realized I was caught up in this thought process. I was caught up in this box, and bro, there was no way that I would have got out of it unless that sequence of events had happened to prove to me that my thought process was trash.
I mean, obviously, you know what I'm saying? You hate to have to learn that under those circumstances, but you learned it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you mentioned, you know what I'm saying, your daughter's name is Lyric, Lyrik'S Institute.
Yeah, for sure. So,
how did that come about? Did that start behind bars?
Yeah, it did. I called my daughter one day, and it was her birthday. Mm-hmm. And she was crying. Her mom, she didn't even get on the phone. Her mom had answered the phone. She was like, she was in buddy rooms all day crying because I wasn't there and stuff like that. And it hit me. And I was just on this journey to be like, you know what? Because what I realized was I was locked up for maybe 2 or 3 years at that time. And I was on this journey to reprogram my thinking, man. I was wearing this mask for so long that I believed the mask.
Right.
I believed my nickname. Like, they call me Thizzle, you know what I mean? So I believed that that's who I was, you know what I mean? And I finally had an opportunity to take the mask off and put it down and go back to who Kyle was. Like, Kyle, not Cal, not White Thizzle, not White Boy Cal, Kyle. Like, you can be Kyle. You can be that loving, caring, honest person. Like, there are people out here that are just like you. You just happen to think that because you grew up in the hood and it was all about drugs, violence, and all of that, like, you had to assimilate to that.
Right.
So I had an opportunity to be free, and I was going through that phase, and I realized that me during this time, I just introduced my daughter to the cycle. Ooh. Like, I walked her into the cycle. You know what I'm saying?
Like unknowingly.
Unknowingly, I didn't know. I didn't know until that moment when she said that she had to go to a buddy room. She had to think about it. She had to dismiss herself from class because of something that is troubling her in her thought process that I caused. And all I'm doing is working on thought. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like it was like, you know what? Something has to be done. So I spent a lot of time working on myself, because I'm like, when I go home, I'm gonna teach my daughter this. I'm gonna break this thought process. I'm gonna challenge her with this question. I'm gonna do this game. I'm gonna do all of that.
So like when that process, let's not speed past that. So like that process of really working on yourself, because there's a lot of young men in your situation. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, there's a lot of young men that are going to go through your situation. And we hate that, but it's just the facts. You know what I'm saying? Because of their family dynamic. Now, when you said, you started working on yourself, and we don't have to go too in depth with it, but just touch on some of the things that you did to change your thought process. Because I'm pretty sure, like with Lyrik'S Institute and you being a rapper, a former rapper, and now you've been a spoken word, you took some time to do some reading. And you took some time to do some writing. So let's just touch on some of the mechanisms that you use, to really, learn to change your way of thinking, bro.
So I learned how to think about my thinking. My first thought is not necessarily my only thought. It's not who I am. It's just a thought. And a lot of times what we do is we blanket that first thought as who we are, right? Because we've never been taught to how to challenge that first initial thought. And so what I learned the skill of mindfulness, right? I learned to say, so I'm gonna give you an example. When I came home, I was down and out. Like, the program has sucked me dry. COVID sucked me dry. Like, I'm living on blessings right now, right? So there was a point in time, of course, I know the plug. You know what I'm saying? And it ran through my mind, like, it ain't nothing but weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't gonna sell crack no more. I know you'll never do that, but it's just weed. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I learned all these tools to battle that thought. I learned gratitude. I learned long-term goal setting, effectiveness, what's the difference between right and wrong, emotional intelligence. I learned all these mechanisms, you know what I'm saying, to battle just one thought. Because behind every thought is a spider web of thoughts. You know what I mean? Right. And it takes all of these thoughts to make this one behavior happen. So that algebraic equation, how they say is beliefs plus motivation equals behavior. Belief is what you believe about a thing. Motivation is how you act it out. Behavior is how that manifests in real life. Okay. And so, like, nobody can make you angry but you. Nobody can make you angry. Give you an example. Me and you could be in the club, and somebody could step on my shoe and step on your shoe. You could take it as blatant disrespect, and I could take it as, somebody just messed up, made a bad decision, or spilled their drink or whatever. Right. The exact same thing happened to both of us. But how you took it and how I took it is only based on my beliefs about what just happened. My motivation is now I move my foot. Your motivation is go smash homie. Behavior is the incident, right? So that's what I learned. I learned those techniques. You know what I'm saying?
So that's adjacent to the cognitive classes.
Yeah, there were mechanisms from it. Cognitive behavior therapy is derived from with Salmon now. He's actually a federal. He does like identity and personality things and stuff like that. He judges that. But what it is neuroplasticity. And what that is rewriting neurological pathways. So everything that we believe in life and what we think about in life is not natural. It's not innate. Only thing innate about it is like we use that word so much that we convoluted it. So innately my lungs fluctuate. Right. Innately my skin heals itself. Right. Innately I want to have relationship. But in my relationship, there's sex, right? But how I have sex is learned. All of that's learned. Right. The way I do it, from the style that I do it, all of it's learned. And a lot of times we think it's innate, right? So a lot. So if it's learned, it can be unlearned, and that's what rewriting neurological pathways is. There's thought processes because of our conditions and the way that we've been in the pain and the trauma. We've come up with solutions, and what happens is we solidify those as true, right?
Right.
And once they're solidified, we don't, because we stay in a constant state of survival, we don't go back to re-examine. Once you have something, I got to move on to the next thing because I got to survive for tomorrow, right? So once you, and the problem is when we're 13, 14 years old, some traumatic thing could happen and we'll come up with a solution for it, but we'll carry that solution into our adulthood. And it doesn't work in our adulthood. Right. It only works when we were 14.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
So, like in that transitioning, so I'm pretty sure, were there some things that from your childhood that you had to deal with during this process? Right. To help you get to where you
the
are.
Abandonment. The abandonment is the abandonment is my inward sin. That my life is colored with my abandonment. The way I grind is colored with my abandonment. The way I study is colored with my abandonment. My trauma colors my whole entire life. So when I came into contact with Christ, when I was locked up, when I came in contact with that, right, ever since then, he's just been going back into my roots and just uprooting stuff. And that's the journey for the rest of my life. I'll be battling my abandonment for the rest of my life. But the thing is, the difference between where I am now and where I used to be is I can weaponize my struggle. I know what I'm going through. I know. So let me give you an example. So part of my abandonment is I need to be right all the time. Because if I'm right, then you'll more likely want to be around me more. You know what I'm saying? If I can solve problems for you, if I can do stuff for you, if I can come up with money and strategy, that's why I ran a team. I didn't run a team because like it was just a thing to do. I ran a team when I was on 27 because I knew that I want my team to stay around me, so I'm going to provide for them. If I provide for them, they'll stick and stay, right? I learned some techniques along the way, but the initial root of why I did it was the flaw. That's where all the complications, when they didn't do what I said, I would go to violence because I need you to come back to where I was at. You dig what I'm saying? So
you really had to, like you said, you had to uproot.
I'm not uprooting anything. God is, he do it. Because I'm not aware of it. I'm just living my normal life. So, and I say this all the time, bro. My journey, my vision, and you asked this question before, and we're probably gonna get back to it. But like, Kyle, where did your vision come from? Like, why are you so solidified in it? It's because it's the vision is what's changing me. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I have to rely. And if I'm relying, he's exposing.
So that's your faith.
Yeah. Like you can't have Kyle without Christianity. You know what I mean? You can't, and let's take out Christianity to say the way. And a lot of people get caught up on that because of lack of understanding. But bro, you can't have me without that because we all need a point of reference of what is right. Right. We have to have a point of reference because otherwise we're creating.
So what Bible verse really opened it up for you? Because
in the beginning God created.
That was it?
You know why?
Why? Because
that word God and that word created are really the exact same thing. So I went to seminary, right? You wouldn't believe that, right? But I went to seminary.
Bro, you real life got a story. Like, you went to seminary. But, that's dope, though. Like, I appreciate you having me on here because, bro, we're really getting into something. You know what I'm saying? Like, your story is somebody's testimony. You know what I'm saying? So, let's continue to embrace this. So, like you said, God created. You know what I'm saying?
So, God and that word created, right? Mm-hmm. So, it says in the beginning God created. It's a definite article. It's only one, right? But the word Elohim is plural. And that word Elohim is creator, right? So there's multiple things creating. So whenever you see bad grammar in the Bible, it's a message in it. It's never just like it's contradicting itself. Mm-hmm. So what I learned was I don't serve just any kind of God. Like I serve the creator, right?
He's omnipotent.
That part, right? You know what I'm saying? So if he created me and made me in his image, he's not talking about like I look like him. He's saying that I have attributes of him.
Time out. Right? What did I tell you today, bro?
You said God got me.
And why did I say that?
Said it's already been
because if we made in him and we made in his image, it's already won.
Yep. That's it. But see, with that thought process. So let me wrap this all up. Let me circle it all the way back around. The reason I'm on that creator, because in Jeremiah, what he says to Jeremiah in Jeremiah 1, he says, I knew you before you were even created. Mm. Like I fashioned you. I knew your destiny. I knew your end before you even breathed. I breathed Raka in you.
I have a friend named Frederick now who's a pastor. Mm-hmm. And I used to go to, when Fred was preaching in high school, I went to one of his sermons, bro. Swear to God, his sermon was, you're predestined for greatness. And that was The message from Jeremiah, like, I knew you before you knew yourself.
That's it.
Like, it's crazy how, like, God will use you in different facets in your life and bring them all together so, like, you can find your purpose.
That's the purpose.
Like, man,
so
it's
the
crazy.
purpose, listen, you didn't go through wherever it is that you went through for you. And that's what we failed. So we were created in relationship. That's why in Elohim, us, multiple, right? Like
Right.
this, I'm circling it back around, right?
Bring it back in, bro.
You're not your own. Like, we have to understand that. The way that the system is set up is, if I continue to do for others and I get in a community that's doing for others, as I'm doing for them, somebody's doing for me. We're all being taken care of, right? That's just the reputation of it. So if God knew me from the beginning, then he knew that I was going to face abandonment, that one day I would do what? Help somebody else out of their abandonment. Help somebody else out of their struggle. Only reason you have went through anything that you went through and learned from it, because God didn't want to just tell you, he wanted you to learn the wisdom of it. Because it's in the details that you free somebody. I can tell an alcoholic all day not to be an alcoholic, but if I've never been through alcoholism, I'm not going to give them the details. I'm not going to give them what it feels like to be hungry and urge for alcohol. You're not going to know those details, right?
Right.
But you've been through it, and that's how I weaponize my past.
That's why I'm a firm believer that God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Yeah.
Like,
he only puts on you what you can do.
Right. And that's why, like, when I pray, bro, like, I pray that God doesn't like my load. I pray that he strengthens my back.
That's it. That's a hard prayer.
You know what I'm saying?
That's like saying your will be done.
Right. And I don't ask that he protects me from the storm. I thank him for the ability to dance in the rain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because, I mean, if you're going to pull a pulpit, I thought we was doing...
You know, because I'm just saying, because you got to think about life, right? You got to think about life. Feel me? Right? In order for a flower or crops to grow, what do they have to weather?
The storm.
They have to weather. They have to weather it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, a tree loses its leaves every winter, and what does it have to do? It has to bear the cold. Yeah. It has to bear the frozen tundra.
You know, the seed has to actually die before it ever grows.
Come on, talk to him, bro.
Ain't that crazy?
You know what I'm saying?
Something has to die before it gives birth. Before anything grows, before anything manifests, it has to first die. Anything great has went through struggle. But it has to. And it's not because, like, we want to tell this festival story on Facebook, or we want to tell this dope Instagram story about the struggle of being... See, that's where the flaw is. We fell in love with the struggle and not the success, and not the transition out of it.
That's why I say you have to embrace it. So it seems like you got to a point to where you started embracing that. You seen how your decision making had not just affected you, but it affected your daughter. So, you know what I'm saying, we look at your shirt and it's the Lyrik'S Institute. So let's talk about that now, because now you've painted this picture for people to understand who Kyle Hollins was. You know what I'm saying? Like, they see, like, okay, man, my man really was out here. You know what I'm saying? He had to go do some time. But now, you know what I'm saying, he's really did the work to work and better himself. And now God is using him to touch and bless other people. So let's talk about the Lyrik'S Institute. You know what I'm saying? Because I went on the website, you know, I checked it. I do my homework on the people that I have on here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not up here talking. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? You want to reduce, you know what I'm saying, violence. You know what I'm saying? Through, you know, the cognitive therapy and, you know what I'm saying, the lyricism. So, like, talk to us about that part. Like, how you going to intertwine those two?
So, the Lyrik'S Institute, the name came about because I introduced my daughter to this cycle, right? And I realized, being in prison, that there are a lot of people still in that cycle. So what I realized was, there's a lot of lyrics out here, right? I can't just help. Who am I to help one when there's a bunch of us and the methods and modules work? So what I did was I took the cognitive behavior for the 4 months. I transitioned out of that and did an 18-month program for the Lyrik'S for Life Connections. That was 18 months of cognitive behavior therapy. While I was doing that, what I did was I ended up working for the program because I knew I wanted to learn the back end piece to it. I needed to know how the contracting went, where the books came from. So I ended up with the lead position and literally, like, ran the program from behind the scenes. Not because I wanted to be the leader, I wanted to know how to do it myself because I knew what I was doing when I was coming home. So I was able to reach out to. I started writing. I wrote from prison. There's a thing up there from Emmanuel Cleaver that he wrote back for me when I was locked up.
Before you do that, Emmanuel Cleaver was a mayor here in Kansas City that has now transitioned into the Senate.
Right.
You know, so that's a guy from Kansas City. So the fact that you were able to write to somebody, and I had to say that so people understand the power of that. That Emmanuel Cleaver is in the Senate now. You know what I'm saying? He's worked his ranks from being a mayor, you know, to now he's in the white, you know, he's on Capitol Hill. Yeah. So, you know, writing to him and doing other types of writing, go ahead and keep expounding on that.
I wrote them, and I wrote so many people, man. I didn't let the walls, see, I was in Leavenworth. I was in Leavenworth USP, and the walls is, I mean, when I say dumb high, like, it's intimidating how tall those walls are, you know what I mean? And it is literally created, so the state will beat up your body, but the feds will beat up your mind. And the way that place is built, it's like you were trapped. Like, there ain't no getting out of that joint, right? Unless you on some MacGyver type time. But I didn't, even though those walls were there, they couldn't stop that mail though. You know what I mean? That mail was coming up out of here. So I ended up writing, and I wrote Oprah and Tyler Perry and, you know, Emmanuel Cleaver. And at the time, the big the riots and stuff was still going on, and there was a movement about the mothers that had lost their kids to violence and stuff like that. So I ended up writing Kansas City Mothers in Charge, the mothers that lost their kids to gun violence. Got in touch with Rosalind Temple, and she came in. I got her to come into the program due to the victims impact part, and built a connection with her. When I came home, she was right-hand man to getting me off the ground. So ended up doing the program, started facilitating some of the program, built relationships with the staff, ended up teaching the program in another capacity called Men Influence, and then I ended up graduating the highest rate of male inmate participants. They were graduating probably like 12 students. I graduated the highest at 30 when I brought my part of the program in. Ended up speaking for the Nation of Islam as the Christian representative, Moore Science Temple. Started winning like public speaking. Like, I was the go-to person when it came to anything motivational in Leavenworth, right? Took that, went to Arizona, took another cognitive behavior program just to understand the dynamics, ended up teaching it there too. So when I came home, what I did was I collected all the information and realized they had all this heady information, but it wasn't impactful because it wasn't created in the culture of the people that they were doing it in. And a lot of times when I sit in front of executives and they talk about their programming, they say it's culturally diverse, but they're only talking about it being bilingual. They're not saying that it's actually created for the culture. Like, how does that culture react to violence? How does that culture react to music? Like, if you're not putting your heady counseling information into that, they don't see themselves in it. And it goes back to the theory of the mirrors and windows. So when black kids go to school with white students and see these white teachers and stuff like that, white students, when they see a white teacher, they're looking at a mirror. They can see themselves becoming that. But when black students look at those same white teachers, they're looking through a window as something that somebody else is or what they can be. Now, they still have the inward question, what am I? So what we do is we take all that information and we answer those questions, right? Because we have
excuse my French, bro. That's a damn good analogy, bro. That's a damn good analogy, bro. Yeah, that's what's up. I'm gonna have to take that one, bro. That's what's up, though, bro. I'm not even trying to cut you off. Nah, that was a damn good analogy.
But that's literally what we're doing. So the creative arts standpoint came from, and this is another rock, but I was in orchestra, right? So I could play the upright bass, the violin. I took debate, did forensics.
I took debate and forensics, and I was in the band.
All of that, see, all of that. I know music theory, all of that. So what I learned was it gave me a study ethic, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a strong enough reinforcer, right? So what I learned was in any programming. So this is the problem. You can go in and teach somebody anything, right? But when they walk out of there and go into the reality of the world, there's a conflict because there's no reinforcer. There's
a difference. And you know, me being a former teacher, you know, people don't understand the difference between teaching and learning.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I can teach you how to do something. Mm-hmm. Like, I can teach you how to solve this math problem or order operations. I can teach you that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But when you learn math and you understand why does y equals mx plus b squared, and when you understand why you have to use a distributive property and why you have to use order of parentheses, now you've learned math. So it doesn't matter whatever I put in front of you, you've learned it. You just weren't taught. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like the fact that you have to learn to differentiate between teaching and learning. Yeah.
But see, that's a cultural difference, though, because with us, we're a storytelling type of people because we come from slavery, and that's how we learn. We learn from storytelling. So our counterpart is not a storytelling based community. And you can learn that way. Like if you walk into a black church and a white church, it's stark difference. Not in so much the singing and all of that. It's the way that it's delivered. It's delivered more from a lecture type standpoint than the story, because we want to see ourselves in the story, because we need something to assimilate to. And see, that's the issue when it comes to teaching and learning, and that's the issue when it comes from higher ups trying to teach somebody at this level, because it makes sense. So the issue is, you wake up every day, right? And you get up, you go to work. So to the outside, it looks like all you need to do is just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? Not knowing that you're in survival mode. You've been in survival mode for the last 300 some odd years. And when you wake up, you're not thinking about 5 years down the line. You're trying to figure out how you're going to make it out to the end of the week. You know what I'm saying? That is a shifting process. But if I can assimilate to a culture that says I can see myself doing that, right? That's why so many people are selling dope, and it's so far-fetched, like death or jail, but I still do it because I can see it. I can see myself in it. I see these rappers. I see these people. I see my neighborhood. I see
mirrors in that window.
There's my mirror, right? So if your mirror is only showing you this one thing, what else are you going to do? And see, they're not seeing it like that. They're seeing the capability and the ethic that we have. That we know it, but that's the shit. So that's where the lyrics comes in at, and it just goes in and pulls out that poverty mindset. It pulls out like violence is not the only way to communicate, because and we reinvest emotional intelligence, right? Because anger, if you don't know an emotion that feels in the slight bit aggravating or anything like that, you're gonna automatically associate it to the known emotion that you know, which is anger, right? So really, you could just be fatigued, but you're gonna associate it with anger. So now you're mad and you're already revving up. You know what I'm saying? When you're
tired.
Because you're tired, right? Not even knowing that your body is already living at a higher stress rate than any other culture in America, because of the police sirens, because of the broken windows and the drug trafficking and the mama getting beat and all of that, right? All of that. So you're living at a higher stress rate, and this is scientifically proven.
Oh, I know.
I know. Then when some conflict happens, you're quick to go straight to it, because that's the only emotion that you know. You know what I'm saying?
Like we're creatures of habit.
Yeah,
like,
that's
bro, you ever thought about going to school and get your psychology degree?
So. Yeah, I want to. So I started in psychology. So let me digress, right? So I went to college, right? Mm-hmm. But I didn't go to college traditionally. I went to college and went for exactly what I wanted to get, right? So I went for psychology. I went to intro psychology. I took marketing. I took accounting. I did Christian studies. And then I kind of advanced into the cognitive thing. I never. And
this was why you were locked up?
I did psychology when I was on the streets, because my probation officer was like, either you gonna go to school or you gonna work. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm going to school. I can hustle and go to school. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I was down, once I had my vision, once I knew where I was going, once it was solidified in my mind, I just started doing everything. I just started picking up everything. So what I learned was, and it's a book that's over there on my bookshelf. It's called Mastery. And what Mastery teaches you is by Robert Greene, the 48 Laws of Power. Mm-hmm. What he teaches you is he teaches you how to absorb information from things and people that don't want to give you information. So what I learned was I started manipulating situations and things to pull information up out of it.
Bro, you know what a coach told me one time, bro? And this was I was a grad assistant at North Carolina Central, right? Mm-hmm. And the coach told me, you learn to do shit right by watching others do shit wrong.
Facts.
And all I did was just shut up. Mm-hmm. So like what you just said, like a lot of times you can figure stuff out if you just shut up and pay attention.
That's it.
That's why I say it costs you nothing to pay attention. Like if you really want to know something, man, like just shut up and pay attention, because 90% of communication is nonverbal.
Oh yeah. And we teach that in our communication class, that it is like that. Like, but you know what you want to know a power move?
What?
Whenever you run into somebody that is very, very intellectual, that has something that you want, play dumb. They don't want to compete with you.
Well, I learned that like coaching,
that
right?
was a life skill, right?
Like
there,
coaching, like coaching wise, right? Young kid coming out of college, like always been one of the smartest players on the field. Like I can tell you where everybody's at and where they're supposed to be. Like just by looking, oh yeah, okay, this is where they need to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like when you come out and you're versed in that, older coaches saw me as competition.
That's it.
And it's like, bro, like
I'm not even. That ain't even me.
That ain't even me. Like I'm here to help win games too. I'm like, shoot, 2 set of eyes is better than 1 set of eyes.
That's it.
1 brain is better than 2 brains. So like let's work together. But because we grow up in a situation of survival, And you know, that's another topic. You know, you have to know the difference between somebody growing up on love and somebody growing up on survival. But when you grow up on survival all the time, you see everybody as competition. You don't see them as an ally.
We're taught that. Think about this. So the greatest tool in college is not necessarily information, but it's really the social interactions that you have. But this is where we fall, because what we're taught is keep your head low, don't say nothing to nobody, go in there and go get your education, get up out of there. That is totally contrary to how socializing goes in college. You know why? Because you could flunk out of college, right? But your homeboy who comes from privilege or whatever got drunk one night and you saved him from going to jail, and he wants to repay you for the rest of his life because you're the one that got him to this next level.
That's a fact. It's
the
nepotism.
socialization. That's all
it's nepotism.
But see, the sick with it part is because we're in survival mode, right? And that survival, that play dumb survival mode thing, that dates back to slavery, right? Don't take my kid because he's intelligent, right? Don't kill my kid because he's intelligent, so I'm gonna play dumb. So what the problem
that's why everybody was always hiding the fact that they could read.
But see,
you weren't supposed to find out. You know what I'm saying?
The problem was we lost the question, right? So let me over 100 years, right? So the first 50 years, this generation, because that's about how long they was living, right? 50 some odd years was the average lifespan of a slave. So 50 something years, it was like 35 to 50. So in those first generation, everybody knew that you were supposed to play dumb, right? The next generation didn't know that they were supposed to play dumb, but just seeing that the parents were always dumbing down their kids, right? So they don't really understand, but they're gonna do it anyway. They don't know the why. So then the third generation doesn't even know why they did it. They're just dumbing them down anyway. So now they're dumbing their students down, dumbing their kids down, just saying, "Yo, it's not that big of a deal to go to school. It's not that big of a deal. Like you don't need this education, right? You can go to get a career. You go get you can go get a trade and stuff like that. There's no problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. But you're doing that because somebody 3 generations ago was trying to survive, and you just took the survival component and carried it along with you, and now you're acting out something that you don't even know why you're doing it. Now we're in this area where we're not chasing education. First of all, we are nowhere near the starting line in life. We are nowhere near the starting line in life, but we are so complacent because we don't even know that we're surviving, that we turn survival into living. We're living in poverty. We're buying Prada belts in poverty. You see what I'm like? The thought process is trash, though, right? So the point of Lyrik'S Institution. So this is what we chose to do. This is why I got into this form, was because our culture the world rides on the back of our culture. Right?
Yeah.
So if we can influence the culture with something else, right? I don't have to ask anybody for anything because I have the goal. I have the main resource, right?
The melanin.
So I have what you can call it melanin, right?
I mean, that's what it is.
It derives out of it.
Melanin is worth more than gold on the stock market.
Oh, okay. I know where you're going. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know.
So it's like it's already in us. They're paying thousands of dollars for what we have. That's like you said. It's innately in us.
It's just like Africa, though. It's just like Africa. Africa is a primary resource, right?
You want to know why that is?
What? We'll go
because Africa is the only continent that's still anchored in the earth.
Okay. Right.
Like think about it. Like when plate tectonics happened and everybody shifted, Africa was the only continent that didn't move. It's the only continent anchored into the ground. That's why it's called the motherland.
I did not know that.
So when plate tectonics happened, when plate tectonics happened over the millions of years, you feel what I'm saying? That's why you have people who are dark skinned up in the North Pole. That's why you have people who have broad nose and big lips in China at first, because the first samurai was a black dude. It was plate tectonics. You see what I'm saying? It's because when all that happened, Africa was the only continent that didn't move. Mm-hmm. It's the only continent with all the resources. Henceforth, that's why they're going to get all that stuff from Africa. Blood, diamond, oil, opium, all that's from over there.
What? So, I just went to school on that one. I did not know that.
Facts.
So, them being a primary continent, because it's not a country. People think Africa's a country, right? It's this continent.
Bro, you can fit three USA.
That's why I struggle when people call me an African American like it's a country, but it's all good. We can go there. So it's a primary, but everybody makes their money. The bulk of the money that's made out there is off of secondary people. Mm-hmm. Europe is a secondary contributor to the primary resources that come up out of Africa. And I don't have a problem with capitalism. I don't have a problem with capitalism when you are educated in capitalism. The people that get stepped on by capitalism are people that don't know how to function in capitalism, right? So what happens is we have this culture, right? We have this the way we dress, the way we dance, the music, the videos, all of this, the podcast, like all of that is our primary resource, right? It is now something that is tangible that we could take all across this world. Well, the issue is we're the third party to it. We're not even the second party to it. So what I want to teach these young adults is how to first integrate their realities and change their thought processes, because if I change the thought processes, I don't have to tell them to take it into their arts, right? They're going to do it anyway. So we affect the culture that way, just in their thinking process. And then what we're doing is we're teaching them how to bring it in and create this corporation type ordeal. So let me kind of run you through what Lyrik'S is, right? So we have a summer program that's coming in June of this year.
Okay.
That's what we're gearing up for. So from 8 to 12, they're going to do behavior modification. We do all the games, we break off, and we're culturally based. Like we use Instagram to teach through, we use YouTube to teach through. We use like different games. We bring in all of these public speakers and stuff like that, and we engage them. And then we go out into community and community week, and we build stuff in the community. Like we are full-fledged active, right? And then from 12 to 4, well, they eat. They do a kickback at 12, and then from 1 to 4, what they do is they go to the creative arts. So we partner with the Kansas City Art Institute, with Joe Black Recording Studios, with the District, the Black Box Theater, and then we're looking for a dance studio that we're going to partner with. So at the end of the 6-week program, they have to come together and bring all of the creative arts together to create an event, and we're going to sponsor the event. Part of that is a marketing component where they have to actually go out and market it. So what we're doing is we're turning them into a corporation, and they have to set it up, create it, break it down, and they have to use all the communication, emotional intelligence, all the thinking, self-thinking, thinking errors, thinking barriers. They have to use all of that. They're going to carry all of that into their corporation manifesto, right?
So,
and then we put that on, and then we do a gala, and we in like the news, and everybody comes out to sponsor it.
And you the engine behind that? You the brain behind all that?
Yeah, that's just a summer program. That's not even the school. We're going after a school. We're going after accreditation. So our goal is sophomore in high school to sophomore in college. And what we'll do is we're turning it into a VOTEC. So they can take the creative arts. Once we get our building, they're gonna all come there, and they can take all the creative arts and get all their elective credits and all that stuff before they even get to college. They don't have to worry about that when they get there.
Bro, that's a damn good idea. And the reason why I say that is because that allows kids to find their purpose. Yeah. Early in life, because there's something like Krishan and I, like we talk like, bro, and he doesn't even rap anymore. You know, he does healthy hip hop. So shout out to Roy Scott, aka Mac James. You know, like the chop
Mac James.
Yeah,
I know Mac James when Mac James was thugging.
Right, like, but the Chop It Up clique, you think about it, bro. They put out a whole album of 18 songs as sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they did that. You know, marketed. Like I remember giving Roy my $7 for his CD so I can listen to it in band class.
Oh,
You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I remember like watching 9 Miller like freestyle in the hallway. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like if they had a situation like that, just think about how many kids would actually be producers. And we're not just talking about rapping, because you had the Thespian Club, you had the band, you know what I mean? Like, just think about, like, if we really tapped into that, because, like you said, our culture, we're so busy always sending kids to the NFL, the NBA, and I have no problem with music, but, you know, the people behind the scenes actually have the longer career. They make the most money.
And we want to show them that.
Right. So the fact that you're giving
we want them to
that,
be in control of their culture. That's what we want to do.
But and I think that's big, and I think that's big because, you know, a lot of us get it misconstrued. Like, for example, like when we talk about tithing, right? A lot of people get it misconstrued that tithing is strictly financial. Mm-hmm. But if you go back and you look in the Old Testament, you went to seminary school, your tithing was your crop, your time, or your gift. So, like, yeah, we can go out here and we can ask people to give money, but, like, are you really making that investment into the future?
Right.
And what you're doing is you're making an investment into the future that 10 to 15 years from now, there's going to be some people from the Lyrik'S Institute with a podcast. And they're going to be
we even have podcasts, what's the names? Like the segments and stuff like that. one of the dopest things is that once we allow them to take control of their culture,
you let them.
We let them, right? But then once they take control of it, it then becomes the funding mechanism for Lyrik'S, right?
Ooh.
So we get to let them. So we have these events that are coming up called the Hangouts, right? So the Hangouts are a dance. It's a dance battle. It's a game night. It's 3-on-3 basketball, and then a kickback, like a hot summer nights type thing. And they get to market, create, and do all of them, right? They get to do the whole shebang. We find those students, so we're going to sponsor 5 students, right? We're going to get their gear, all their Lyrik'S merch. We're going to run them through the program, give them all our connects, all our mentors, everything. We're going to make them our brand ambassadors, and they get to decide and bring in and cultivate all these different mechanisms and go through the program. And we're going to spotlight them and let everybody see what we're really trying to offer.
All right, well, I'm gonna give you a little gem, bro. I think for some marketing aspects, bro, you really need to tap into some of these HBCUs. Because
that's so much stuff up our sleeve.
That's what I'm saying, like, bro. You really need to do that. And I'm not talking about like the Langstons and the Lincolns. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm really talking about, man. You have schools like North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T. You know what I'm saying? Johnson C. Smith, Livingstone College. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of those. Clark Atlanta. You have a lot of those schools where kids come in musically inclined, but they had no guidance on the way there. So you know what I'm saying? So like the fact that you're trying to get them from their sophomore year of high school to their sophomore year of college, man, I would definitely say, man, start trying to, rub elbows with some of those people, at those big HBCUs, because a program like that, man, it just doesn't start once you get to college. That actually starts while you're in high school, and I'm pretty sure that there could be some type of way where you guys could partner and essentially start offering scholarships or grants. You know what I'm saying? And that's
I don't want to dump everything on.
You're not supposed to, but you know what I'm saying? He coming from an HBCU, me coming from an HBCU. You know what I'm saying? But like you say, like being resourceful. HBCUs are some of the best resources, not just for blacks, but for the country. Like when you look at it, like Xavier, or is it Dillard down in New Orleans? They have the most black doctors. You know what I'm saying? Like FAMU's pharmacy program is second to none. You know what I'm saying? North Carolina Central's law school. I went to North Carolina Central for grad school. I seen undergrads from Duke that couldn't even get into that law school. And it was ranked top, not top 10 and just among HBCUs. We're talking about top 10 within the country. So you have a lot of resources. You have a lot of prominent people. You just think about it right now. Like our vice president went to an HBCU. Right. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of prominent people that, you know what I'm saying, come from these HBCUs, and a lot of times they don't get the love because, a lot of people look at it like, it's an HBCU, but I mean, they're really impacting the world. So what you're doing, if I could give you any advice, bro, I would really try to tap into, getting connected with an HBCU, even if you just start with one. Because now you're not just changing lives, you're changing families, bro. Because that might be the first kid to go to college in their family. That might be the first family graduate. You know what I'm saying? Now, like you doing, they're able to give back and reach. Like, man, little brother, little cousin, let me show you how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, channel all that energy, man. Start writing or find your passion. Man, go to school, do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? So you really have opened up, you know what I'm saying, Pandora's box. And like I said, man, this has been, talking to you, bro, is always refreshing, man, because you always dropping a jewel. And, to really get a chance to sit down and expand upon your vision and what you're doing, man, you know what I'm saying? Any way that Exactly My Point podcast can help you, bro, we really want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because, that's what we're trying to do, bro. We're trying to give people their flowers while they're here, and we're not just trying to give them their flowers. We're trying to be an integral part in our community. You know what I'm saying? When you think about Kansas City area and you think about the culture, you know what I'm saying? Essentially, we want to be a staple in that. You know what I'm saying? And a way to do that is to build a conglomerate with people like yourselves. And any way we can help, man, you know what I'm saying, we definitely want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate, like I said, the opportunity for us to even sit down and have this conversation. I'm glad that you were able to let people know about the Lyrik'S Institute and its purpose, especially for our culture. So, I'm not, normally I would close it out, but this is not about me tonight. This is about you. So I want you to go ahead and drop that jewel to send us on home and why not just, the Exactly My Point podcast, but why the city of Kansas City needs to get behind the Lyrik'S Institute. Because before you take over, the continental United States, you first have to take over Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you're going in the right direction. So I want you to close us out and really hammer home, y'all mission, y'all vision, and why we need to get behind you, bro.
For sure. I'm gonna do that with a quick story, bro. It's real brief. I got into a shootout one time, and we was on 55th in Michigan, and what happened was we were all out drinking, having fun. I had got into a little situation with a guy before, and they pulled up from behind the house, and they started shooting. Police found over 40, 50 some odd shells fired from us and back and forth or whatever. A girl tried to go back into the house, and she ran back into the house. The bullet went through her leg, went through her private area, and got lodged in her other leg, right? And some people that got hit on their side too, so they ended up being in the same hospital together. That night, we were livid, mad, right? I was mad because somebody had got hit based on, something that I had did, and I felt like I had something to prove, and, just growing up in the 50s, that's mandatory, They clap at you, it's bounce back, right? So the next day comes around, and we still on beef mode, a couple guys still on beef mode, and I go up to the house, and I see her. I see her with the bandages, and I see her and all of that, and I'm talking about when I was enraged, I was over the top mad, right? I can't even put it into words how mad I was, right? So I hop in the car, me and my cousin, we hop in the car, man. We both got our guns on us. We spin the corner, and they all outside, right? And as we bend the corner, it's just on we were just about to watch it type time, right? We bend the corner, they recognize the car, they up on the car. Tear the whole left side of the car up, right? So I up out the window, boom, 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 boom. They kind of go towards the back or whatever, and I spin the corner. I spin the block again, right? I grab his gun because he didn't finish what he had, and I up again, boom, 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 boom. Right? I spin the block again. I go to my house, I go get my chop, bounce back out. This time I'm on foot, and I'm bouncing out. Ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody outside, but I'm just livid because, y'all got y'all nerve, you know what I'm saying, type time. I bounce out, and I'm talking about yoking at this house. Boom, 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 boom. Man, I'm shooting into the house. I'm shooting at anything moving in the house or whatever's going on, man. And I hear this scream from inside the house. She screams like a shriek, bro. It's like I hear it every day of my life. She screams. She says, "Please stop." She's screaming, "Please stop! My baby's in here," screaming it. And I my gun jammed, and I'm trying to get the shell out, but I'm hearing her scream this as I'm trying to get the shell out to keep shooting. And my cousin's like, get in the car. So I get in the car and we spin off. I'm sitting in my cell, and we went through this victim's impact thing, and it started talking about how your actions affect other people besides the people that were just, who you were shooting and stuff like that. And I had to go back to my cell with that, and that's what I heard. I heard her screaming in my ear. And what I realized was, not only did I have trauma from what happened to me, everybody that I was shooting at had trauma. People in that house had trauma. The neighbors had trauma. Everybody was affected by my action, right? And everybody created solutions that were going to negatively affect them for the rest of their lives. And the reason that Lyrik'S is so important is because there are too many people growing up with that same experience, with those same experience, where they was the man behind the gun, the woman behind the gun, or on the other side of the gun being affected by that trauma. And if nobody goes in and challenges those thought process, we're going to keep force feeding our children that. That is literally why Lyrik'S is so important, because we're going in and saying, yo, we've been through the trauma, we've been through the shootouts, we realize that ain't it, but we ain't just gonna tell you that ain't it. We're gonna walk you through how to come up out of it. And that's what sets us apart from any other organization that's reactionary, because we before the problem happens, we want to challenge that. And if anybody walks away with anything, my biggest prayer is that they walk away with knowing that there's an organization out here that is so for you, that is so behind you being the best you, the best successful you that you can be, that I, Kyle Hollins, is willing to go flat broke, bro. I am broke. I got $200 in my name. My rent is due next month. You know what I'm saying? I'm living off blessings. But bro, it's happening. Like we just did a teen summit, bro. And when you look at a kid and they had that eureka moment when it clicks, like, oh, I had a kid, like they said one of the issues was that they felt alone. When I broke down how they could change their perception of how they view being alone and to use it and weaponize it, when that clicked, and that person came up to me and was like, yo, when's the next one? When we doing it again? That's the change that we ask our donors to take part in, because our donors are the heroes. We have the method, but we can't produce this without our donors.
So where can the donors tap in at? You know what I'm saying? So
they can tap in at the website, lyricsinstitute.com, lyrics with a K. Institute.com. Yes, sir. Lyricsinstitute.com. You can find us on GoFundMe. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. We're developing the app to make it a little bit more easier for you to contact us. Yo, we have this summer program is the debut of our program. Please get involved. The budget is $96,000. We have secured $36,000 of that. Yo, we got a $60,000 push. We are on our way. We just ask that you help us out.
That's what's up, you know what I'm saying? So any people that are grant writers that can help out, you know what I'm saying, tap in with the Lyrics Institute. Anybody that has a talent, you know what I'm saying, like, let's get behind this young man and his platform and what he's trying to do, you know what I'm saying, for the greater Kansas City area, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is your boy Black Zach, the Exactly My Point podcast. You can catch me at EX_ZACH_LY_my point on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? So tap in, follow your boy, you know what I'm saying? We also got a fan page on Facebook. So it's the Exactly My Point fan page. So if you follow me, you know what I'm saying, I've already sent you an invite. You already know I'm in the kitchen, man. I'm cooking it up, man. But again, Kyle, I appreciate it, man. It was all love.
Appreciate it, bro.
Man. So, you know, man, tap in with us the next time around, man. Peace.
For sure.